والصلاة والسلام على سيد الخلق وأعز المرسلين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين وعلى جميع أنبياء الله والمرسلين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. My dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. There is an ayah in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking us to be with the truthful. And the call is for the believer. أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا مع الصادقين. Be with the truthful one. And as we explained 2 nights ago, and we said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala designated Ahlul Bayt Muhammad as somebody that we need to follow in order to guard ourselves against his guidance. And we need to hold tight to Al-Quran and to them. Why? Because they are sadiqeen, truthful. And how do we know that they are truthful? It's not only their legacy proved history-wise, that it is also that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala immuned them and granted them al-ismah as an act of kindness on his behalf to them because of their sincerity and because of their loyalty and because of their love and because of their clear, pure, valuable iman. This iman associated with knowledge and taqwa and sincerity and good deeds represented the ultimate success for the previous people like Al-Anbiya and the previous people like Al-Awsiya and the previous people like the believers who made it. And Allah set an example for us to follow. It's important that we learn from our experiences in history. We, in this generation, we are not responsible for the mistakes that took place by earlier generations in history. We cannot be held accountable for the mistakes that others have done centuries ago. But in order for us to avoid the same mistakes, we need to learn from history. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Book of Al-Quran is telling us that their stories and the legacies of the previous nations and the legacies of the previous events, it is an excellent example for us to follow. Positive-wise, when we learn from the positive people and their successful stories and their prosperous achievements. Negative-wise, when we learn to avoid the same mistakes that others have done and it affected them with terrible results, where they have lost dunya and they have lost al-akhirah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us these stories in Al-Quran, and we read history so we could learn. It's important that you learn history. It's important that you know the facts. And you know the facts as it happened. And when we study and examine the events of Ashura and Karbala and the rise of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, we don't need not to be objective. We don't need to add anything to it. We don't need to invent any salt or pepper to the event. The event by itself is valuable enough, excellent enough. It has so many learning lessons for us to learn and to follow. Among these lessons is the story of Muslim bin Aqil, Who is Muslim bin Aqil? He is the cousin of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, the son of Aqil ibn Abi Talib. And Aqil ibn Abi Talib was the brother of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. And Muslim was a very good mu'min and a very knowledgeable believer, where Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam can trust him and put his confidence in him, that he is strong, he is worthy of the mission that he gave him. He said, Ya Muslim, go ahead of us to Al-Kufa and go talk to Al-Kufa. I am sending you and delegating you, I am appointing you as an ambassador on my behalf to speak to the people of Al-Kufa and tell them to facilitate the stage for my arrival. And tell them that we are coming, we have a program, and we have a plan, and we have a system, and we want to invoke the spirit of As-Sunnah, and we want to practice the principles of Al-Quran, and we want to reform the ummah of my grandfather. So Muslim bin Aqil went ahead of Imam Hussein alayhi salam to Al-Kufa, and he started having meetings with important people. He started forming people around him. He started informing the people about the motion of Imam Hussein alayhi salam and the mission of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, that it is with the pleasure of Allah, that it is in the right track, that it is the truth, that he is an imam that represents Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, that he's the hope for this generation, that he is a hope for reviving Islam with its principles. And they were telling them, he was telling them that he is coming with his group of followers, and he was getting from them the support and the allegiance. And he met with the leaders, and he met with the chiefs of the communities and the chiefs of the tribes and the prominent people and the good believers and the educated, the commanders, the noble, the most affected community members. And he got a lot of support. At one point of time, Muslim bin Aqil sent a letter to Imam al-Hussein, please proceed, come forward. Thousands and tens of thousands that have gave you al-bay'ah and gave me the commitment that they will be with you and supporting you and defend you. And you will come to a sea of people that are going to behind you. Sir ala barakatullah, on Bismillah, and keep coming. So Imam Hussein received that letter. Sure enough, after he received that letter, Yazid ibn Muawiyah la'natullahi alayhi appointed Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad as a wali for him on Al-Kufa. And he came secretly to Al-Kufa. He sneaked under the wing of darkness, and he was covering his face. And even some of those people who have seen him coming, they thought he was an Imam al-Hussein. And then within few days, he started meeting with the people, prominent people, and he used the threat, and he used the fear, and he used the force, and he threatened the chiefs of the tribes and the prominent people. Oh, there is a formidable, humongous army. It's coming from Asham. If you stand to support Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, you guys will be killed. You would lose your property. You will be kicked out of your homes. Your homes will be confiscated. Your property will be confiscated. You will be killed. You will be persecuted. You lose this opportunity to live a good life. Look at the good life that you live here. And I will ensure that I will continue to make sure that you live in prosperity and will give you money. And then sure, he used the two methods, targheeb wa tarheeb, enticing them with money and threatening them with force and calamities and problems. So people, because of their faith is not strong enough, a lot of them, they have nullified the agreement and they have breached the contract that they had with Muslim bin Aqil. And they have breached the bay'ah and the allegiance that they gave to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. That is the ultimate haram. And this repeated itself not only with Imam al-Hussein, also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us in Al-Quran that if you classify people, Allah classified people into three groups: the special, the few, the sincere, and the second group is still good, but it's not as good as the first group. They have mixture of haqq and batil, truthfulness and falseness. And then the third group, which is the majority, they have no principles. They don't stick to their principles. They sell themselves very cheap for the sake of a dunya, for the sake of money, for the sake of position, for the sake of the property. And Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam said that statement. An-nasu abidu dunya. People usually, they are the slave of the decoration and of this world. وَالدِّينُ لَعِقٌ عَلَىٰ أَلْسِنَتِهِمْ. And religious on their mouth is what? Is blah, 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 blah. Words. Words that has no meaning. Words that does not affect the attitude and the soul and the spirit. فَإِذَا مُحِّسُوا بِالْبَلَاءِ. If they are tested with calamities and distress, قَلَّ الدَّيَّانُونَ. Few are the believers. Few are the sincere. That's what we have witnessed in Badr. And that's what we have witnessed, what we have witnessed in Uhud, when significant number of Muslims, they forsake Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. And they left him alone with Imam Ali and only 3 to 9 members of the companions. Among them was a woman. And they forsake him. And they thought he died. And some of them sent messages in order to make a political settlement with Abu Sufyan. The same thing happened during Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam. 60,000 soldiers with Imam, but Imam knew great number of them, they will do the same thing what they have done with his father. Conspired against him and betrayed him. 12,000 under one commander left, as history told us, Ubaydullah ibn al-Abbas. And the same thing happened during Imam Ali alayhi salam, in the Battle of Siffin, where Imam is about to be granted victory through Malik al-Ashtar. More than 40,000 of the soldiers that were with Imam, a lot of them are Quranic readers, memorized the whole Quran. They fell into the trick of Amr ibn al-As in the Battle of Siffin, when Muawiyah was about to lose the war and Malik al-Ashtar was about to capture him. Umar ibn al-As conspired and he created a fitna, and he raised Al-Quran on the spears, walked among the two ranks of the army and said, let's arbitrate. Al-Quran will arbitrate and we will follow the ahkam of Al-Quran. And Imam Ali alayhi salam told him, this is a trick, this is a fitna, this is a conspiracy. They knew they are about to be defeated. They are buying time to regroup. Do not fall into that trick. They insisted and they threatened to capture him. 40,000 surrounded him. And they told him, if you don't accept the arbitration, we're going to fight you now. And then he went and sent a messenger after Malik al-Ashtar, and he told them, come, your Imam wants you, he's in distress, they want arbitration. And you know what happened in history, where the arbitration was nothing but a devilish, satanic trick and conspiracy to oust an Imam. And he went as a shaheed in the month of Ramadan, in Layal al-Qadr, in the holy place, the mosque, in the Fajr prayer, in the holiest day of the week, Jum'ah. in the holiest position of as-salat, state of sujood. That's what led to Shahadatul Imam. The same thing, Muslim bin Aqil, at one point of time, he gathered over 25,000 signatures. And he was speaking to them, and there is no place in the mosque of Masjid al-Kufa for people to sit. When Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad starts spreading the news of terror and the false news, and he was scaring them, and he was playing all this fitna among them, their iman was not strong, and they left, and they got scared, and they were afraid to lose their family, and to lose their property, and to lose their homes. The next day, Muslim bin Aqil, in the morning, 5,000 only. At noontime, few hundred. At Maghrib time, few people. When he finished his Salatul Isha and looked back, there was only no one, nobody there. Felt alone, betrayed, felt the betrayal by his followers, couldn't find anyone. He started crying not for himself. He started crying for who? For his leader, for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Felt as a stranger, didn't know where to go. And all these people who were supporting him, most of them now they are searching for him because they were bought by the power structure and by Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad, and they were searching for him. He was going into the streets of Al-Kufa at night, feeling lonely, feeling betrayed, feeling alone as a stranger, didn't know where to go, until history is telling us where he saw a woman outside her house, and she saw him sitting there on the footsteps of her house, and she told him, "Why you are sitting here? What can I do for you?" And he requested a glass of water. She gave him water, and she told him, "Now you drank. Why you're still here? I don't give you the permission to sit." And Muslim bin Aqil started weeping and crying, and she said to him, "Why are you crying?" He said, "Because I'm not worried about myself. I am worried about the outcome of my beloved leader, Imam Hussein alayhi salam. I am Muslim bin Aqil, where all these people have forsaken me, and they have left after giving me the allegiance, and now they're all against me. I have no place to go." She hid him in her house, and then her son went to the Qasr al-Imara and he told the commander of Ibn Ziyad, "Where is Muslim bin Aqil?" And sure enough, they came with their military forces, surrounded the house, and after a long battle, and he was injured, they promised him security, and under the injury they captured him, fought bravely, brought to the castle, did not give up, did not change her mind, did not sell his deen, did not sell his principles cheap. Because Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad offered him the dunya, and he refused. And he defended Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and he refused to curse his leader. And he cursed al-Zalim face to face, and he cursed the leader of al-Zalim face to face. That is what al-Iman does to people. That are the true Shia. That are the true followers of Ahlul Bayt salamullahi alayhi. That's what Hujr ibn Adi al-Kindi, when Muawiyah told him, "You need to curse Ali, and you need to declare you need to totally withdraw from supporting him. And you need to switch your support to us, otherwise you shall be killed, you and your family and your kid." He said, "I will never do that. I would rather die supporting and loyal to Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam versus giving loyalty to you." He said, "Then I am going to kill you." He said, "Okay, that doesn't bother me. To be killed on the straight path is more honorable to me to sell my deen cheap, and in order to bring the wrath and the displeasure of Allah." Then he said to him, "Shall I start killing you first or killing your son?" He said, "You could start with my son, because I want to make sure before I die that my son dies on the love for Allah and Muhammad and Ali ibn Abi Talib. Salamullahi alayka Hajr ibn Hudayb. Salamullahi alayk, the son of Hajr ibn Hudayb. Salamullahi alayk ya Muslim bin Aqil. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وبارك على محمد وآل محمد وترحم على محمد. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among those who are sincere and those who are deeply rooted in their ground and stand their ground against conspiracies and against betrayal and against a shaitan and against the worldly desire. They win the battle in their inner struggle that we call al-jihad al-akbar. The bigger struggle is to purify yourself so your imam can be proud of you and can count on us when he comes. May Allah expedite his appearance, inshaAllah. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وبارك على محمد وآل محمد ورحم على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم فك أسر المسلمين من أيدي الظالمين. اللهم إننا نرغب إليك في دولة كريمة تعز بها الإسلام وأهله وتذل بها النفاق وأهله وتجعلنا فيها من الدعاة إلى طاعتك والقادة إلى سبيلك. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الفاتحة إلى أرواح أمواتنا جميعا, سيما the soul of my mother Fawziya Shuman, and for your loved lost one, قبلها الصلوات.